some opportunities there. So let's see what happens as we are now into Champion Select for the deciding match between KSV and ROX Tigers.
Opening off the draft here with an Azir ban on blue side. That's what we saw in game number 1. So if we're rolling it back, it was Azir, Xayah, and Sejuani from KSV. And ROX Tigers banned away the Vel'Koz, the Galio, and the Gangplank. Do you need to ban away Vel'Koz when Azir is already taken off the board? It is comfort for Crown. I think they still are trying to find a way to pinch Crown onto a champion doesn't find the same sort of success on. So far, we follow the game 1 plan.
Yep, the predictability was there in game number 1. Just got Crown to pick up his karma where they wanted him to. Game number 2 was a different story. Finally, the other V starting champion is going to be taken away by the ROX Tigers.
This probably means a sacrifice of the Galio, I would imagine, because the Galio ban on red side was very interesting.
Yeah, a little bit unnecessary. Might give them the opportunity to take away the Olaf here as well, as Sejuani is going to remain available on the side of KSV in favor of the Swain ban, so Linderung doesn't get that one yet again.
And if you think about KSV first picks, you'd think that Olaf would replace the Varus when it comes to a first pick on blue side. Could understand a Gangplank ban as well, so I'm seeing what ROX Tigers want to consider here. The final ban will be the Olaf, so we do see a lot of change.
Yeah.
What happened in this series from Game 1 and Game 2 with Swain and Olaf. And the Varus now off the board. How did KSV read this situation? Because Sejuani would be one of the power junglers and has the largely winning matchup into the Skarner because there's so many different options where she's able to answer what Skarner wants to do.
Or do they go elsewhere and try and pick up supporter and AD carry? And it looks like the support is going to come in. Yeah, Core JJ going to grab the Braum already.
A first pick Braum. That is super early in the draft to be taking a Braum. Well, they first round Orin as well, just to get something very safe and defensive in the top side.
Or do they first round Talia, given the fact that ROX Tigers now feel a little bit worse picking it up, given the power of the Unbreakable in that particular matchup? I know it's sort of across different lanes, but could be an opportunity as these games have gone towards 5v5 almost every time. Skarner is going to be locked in, though, by the ROX Tigers as they prioritize that one over the Sejuani.
Usually they have the more tempo play, so I guess they want to go for the Skarner in the early to mid game he can provide. You can see the win rate not fantastic, but close to 50% here in the LCK.
The other option is now to go for a potential Thresh here last round for the ROX Tigers as well and pair that one up. The Lantern plays with the Skarner have been really good at getting early kills. But there's the Gangplank locked away for Linderung on the top side. Has seen a ban almost every single time. Not this time around, though, is Haru. Going to go back to a champion that he has found some success on, but not recently. Caitlyn is going to be the choice, so...
AD carry was the interesting one here for KSV because a lot of the obvious ones were taken away and Stan is heavily deprioritized. Now you're choosing a losing pressure matchup because it's very, very difficult to find a way to beat Caitlyn Braum when the 2v2 hasn't even been started by ROX Tigers. And you mentioned the Thresh. Obviously the priority goes way up when you see a Zac because Thresh is there to interrupt the Elastic Slingshot with the Flay.
Also, it's key and it's his most played champion anyway, so...
That part makes sense, but very surprised to see a first pick Braum. It feels like a reach on the side of KSV. Means that mid lane and top lane goes wanting from them, so it's time to start taking away some of the blind picks. Hasn't been many mid lane bans, so surely Crown will find something, but the Camille will be banned away. Still no changes on 8.5, so plenty of Camille priority going to come through.
Well, Camille Nah could be an opportunity here. Ornn and Sion both available for either the ROX Tigers or KSV if they want to pick those up. Jhin is going to see the ban.
Bit of a peculiar ban when Braum and Zac is already a pretty big note button to the Jhin, but is an old favorite of Songyun on multiple teams. Probably going to be a double AD carry ban here from KSV and then see what shakes out from ROX. You do wonder if they get frisky with a Jinx or something in this particular game. Risky to pull off against the Zac, but a possibility when we're starting to really stretch pretty thin. The AD carry pull. I don't know if Songyun's going to go back to the Kalista that he's been trying to make a thing post 8.4.
I certainly hope not, because it hasn't looked super great. And the Kai'Sa is being considered once again. We saw this in the KT match. Deft was hovering it, but he didn't actually lock that one away. 14 seconds to go.
Would they actually play it? You'd think no, but would that definitely put in a big curveball to this draft. They're going to hold their options and say, we're going to play Jinx by locking in the Karma.
Well, I hope that that's what they mean. I mean, it could be yet again another Kog'Maw composition if Sungyun wants to play it 3 games in a row.
Could be, but the Malzahar are still open to KSV. They want to go for lockdown. The implied threat of the maximum engage range from the Zac and also the Malzahar lockup.
Oh, the special delivery laser beam is not a fun one.
This is a very oppressive team already when you're talking about Caitlyn Braum pushing in with traps, with Malzahar and Zac, with their engage out of the darkness. And the Ornn will come through eventually as the safe top laner. It's obviously going to be a pretty free laning phase for the Gangplank, but we're seeing some smiles. What are you doing, Sungyun? Doesn't look very happy times to play the Kog'Maw in this game. Would have a physical damage threat, so the Kog'Maw will be a bit safer. Here's the question. Backs against the wall. Will it be the Jinx that we talked about?
They are thinking about it. Bit of Kramer flavor here, and that's going to be locked in. Sungyun going to be trying to match the range using those rockets, but this is going to be a real tough laning phase. We know the power of the Braum and the Caitlyn.
Oh, you're talking about the laning phase. What about the teamfight phase with the Ornn ultimate? Zac's coming around. Malzahar wants to flash on you. There's so many things to respect as the Jinx. If you get that first kill, you get excited. Teamfight can be won. I think KSV has a very big lead in terms of recreating the tempo they were able to pull off in game number 2 and get map control with some of the lanes they've been able to lock in. Whereas the side of ROX Tigers, all going to be about execution. Execution worked for them in game 1, but can they get the perfect execution with the cannon barrage after level 6 somewhere else on the map, try to find advantages and actually allow Jinx and Gangplank to get to 3 items? Karma can only do so much, which is going to be answered in the mid lane by the Malzahar and tied up. Really exciting stuff and high octane as well. This game does decide a lot of the playoff ramifications, whether it goes the way of KSV and guarantees them playoffs or puts ROX Tigers firmly into the contention, one of the big favorites to pick up a playoff spot.
Now at least both sides have to be building those QSSs to get out of the way of the Nether Grasp and the Impale, so maybe not going to see the item advantages that we saw in game number 2 for KSV, but you're exactly right. It's really got to be on Song1 getting around the map and getting these Lantern Impales working to give ROX some sort of advantage in the early game. Still, it's an exciting matchup, it's exciting drafts, and can we see Jinx find a victory in the hands of Sungyun? Can't wait to find out as we head to the Rift for game number 3 between KSV and ROX. Hear the desperation in the KSV fans. They know that they need to win this. It feels so dangerous to then have to go up against Kingzone and needing a victory in that one as well.
Let's give you guys the live update of where we're at. We don't have an overlay for it, but we can inform you if there's no action in the level 1. Basically what you need to know is that if you are able to pull up the standings right now, and we'll show them after the series, of course.
Yeah.
KSV is at 9 match wins. There's no ability for ROX or SKT to reach 10 match wins if they lose in this series. ROX Tigers and SKT play 2 more. They win both, which they should, against MVP and Kongdu Monster. They can only reach 9 match wins. So KSV win, no one else can get to 10 match wins. They are 100% in. If ROX Tigers win, they're at 9 match wins as well. And KSV's only remaining opponent is Kingzone. So very hard to get to 10 for them. But it does depend a little bit on game score of how they go against Jin Air, where they could afford to lose, depending on how SKT beat. If it's a 2-0-2-0, then it's going to have to be a little bit more for the side of ROX Tigers. So KSV win and they're in. ROX Tigers very close to being in if they win this game.
Well, this is absolutely massive. As you saw, the start from ROX was not the one that you really desire. So Ruler and Core JJ, massive lane priority on the bottom side of the map. We were expecting that, but we thought that maybe Sungyun and Key could get a little bit of the farm in the earlier stages.
Bit of a fake leash attempt there, and then by the time they got to lane, they were just going to be dealing with Caitlyn Braum.
Yeah.
Both junglers starting on the top side to try to mask their routes. It's always about when the Zac will go for the power farm on the Gromp and the blue. Not if, it will happen eventually. The ward was put down already. Doesn't spot them out, and I believe it's timed out. Can't tell because of the Zac icon, but we don't have the exact timing here on the Zac.
Well, Lava is actually one of our resident Karma players that played it earlier on in the season and actually found a lot of success. Currently gigantic as far as KDA on the champion as well. Kuzan, unfortunately, did not make it work.
It's also really good against Crown in the early game because Malzahar doesn't really do damage or have threat without his ultimate. And then even when the ult comes up, if you have enough AP, the shield just comes on, you don't die, and Zac Malzahar together is not burst damage. So the threat comes later in the game. It's going to be some turrets are down, and where's the Zac at, and how many items does Malzahar have? That is when there's a lot of threat, but in the laning phase, should be just pushing for reckless abandon levels on the side of Lava, as Crown's actually scouting the bot side jungle, making sure the red buff hasn't been taken.
Yeah, walked all the way over a ward though. Haru also going to be discovered, as it's just clearing vision on both sides of the map. Zombie ward going to come in here. Of course, thankfully, being able to go into domination feels good. As Songwon now actually going to come over, but he will be spotted by that cute little ward that went down. But Key, he's here as well, and there's not going to be a lot that Haru can do.
He wants to releash the red. That's his hope here, is to releash. It's not going to happen. Smite War.
Yeah, it's going to be taken by Songwon, so really nice 3-buff start for the Skarner. As Lava is making Crown pay for this pick in the mid lane as well.
And what do we talk about in win conditions? Man, late game looks good, but how do they get there? A play like this where they have Thresh rotate first, where they steal away a red buff, disrupts the rhythm coming through from the side of KSV. They're actually going for a Drake solo. It's not an Ocean that is so punishing. Could largely be possible, but Thresh will probably have to come and provide a little bit of help to get it over the line.
They actually really like Mountain Drake being taken early as well because they want to get as much push availability as possible, but the ward was there, so not going to be an option.
It's so hard to solo down with just the machete, and then bot lane moved up, so of course why not pop a ward in and see what's happening.
Yeah, wasted a lot of time from KSV to get over there though.
And Lava's going for a merry old walk to the top side.
Would you call it a jaunt? He's on a bit of a jaunt towards the top side of the map. See whether he's actually spotted out here as Lava needs to pick the right brush.
He does.
He is going to find it. Yeah, exactly right. So, slowed down a little by the Q, but now Lava just going to go back home. Man, he is all over the map right now. Just wanted to use his teleport anyway, so we'll be able to get straight back to lane, only lose a couple of creeps.
It gives up some melee minions to try to go for the roam. If Orin was being a bit more tone deaf, there was a potential gank that could happen, but with Searing Charge, it becomes very difficult to pull off. Like the attempt, and seems like this build is going to be a bit different because he's rushed the Fiendish Codex here. So no Lost Chapter or into
might
the
be the
tiers
build to come in.
Yep.
So a little bit more of what Crown showed us the first time around.
Songyun has his utility from his mid laner a bit earlier, not just from fat stacks of AP.
Yep.
Risky though, because then he becomes a big target, as he can just be ulted instead of the Jinx.
Well, see whether ROX can actually make it work. Looks like they're trying to get as much power in the early game as they can possibly get.
Every time they show Lava, he's not in mid lane. So if this was a solo queue game, you'd be like, are we trying to win here, guys? Or
I don't know. Is he going AFK? Not another one.
He's seen some very interesting parts of the Rift that you don't normally expect for a pre-6 minute mid laner.
Yep. One of those guys that you talk to and you're like, oh, so what do you really like? I like traveling and movies, you know, and he's certainly traveling today. Lava will now head towards the top side of the map, knows exactly what's going on. Blast Cone now just going to be eaten up by Songwon, who sees the fact that Haru is here because who else put down that ward?
This just feels like coaching. It really feels like the coach is like, you let them have, you know, too much vision control. Get vision control in game 2. And so far, Lava's gone on 3 roams.
Yep.
Songwon's invading on a
He's
Skarner.
still winning in farm as well.
It's great. It's what happens when you're Malzahar, though, because you think of Malzahar in your head and you're like, ah, yeah, great wave clear. That doesn't happen early in the game. You know, it takes a lot longer. You miss a lot of last hits with the Malefic Visions. So, at the end of the day, been able to shove and roam, and they're trying to get a lot of vision control. And what does vision usually mean? It means power to play safely and to scale. So far, they're able, if you notice, to match the CS values in bot lane because it's double ranged. That is good news for the Jinx if she's going CS for CS with a K.
Yeah, and I actually think this is fantastic given the fact that you mentioned earlier that KSV have a really good mid-game comp. Yeah, ROX have a great late-game comp, but in the early game, ROX are the ones that have the advantage. They've got the skirmishing jungler, they can get around there against the Zac in particular, and they also have that pushing advantage in the mid lane like you talk about. So it's a really cool position of power, and this is what we were expecting.
Yeah, there could be some really cool plays here as well.
Yeah, well, there's the cannon barrage, the flash forward. They're going to pick up the Caitlyn. Deliverer back and first blood over to Sangyun. That's exactly what ROX wanted and perfectly executed.
We call it the Griffin Special, the play with the Thresh and the Skarner, shown first in Challenger's career. Doesn't need to be the full duration, no flashes needed, but they get the kill, happy to get whoever. This time it's Ruler who dies with both summoners up. And now the delayed Mountain Drake goes the way of ROX Tigers.
Yep, and Haru is going to be able to steal away a Brambleback, but that's not exactly what they want. Songwon not going to care about that. He wants to help his team out, does so very effectively. Now we'll probably just grab this Rift Scuttler, give over a blue buff, and head back home. Cube is actually playing up pretty far in this lane as Linderung wants to respect the fact that a Zac could be there. He's going to make it back to the lane, thankfully.
No ability for Linderung to give up this many CS, so has to take some degree of risk when it comes to entering lane, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
The scalings here are so interesting because we might have to start using more specific language. It feels like sometimes early, mid, and late isn't enough information for the
it's
viewer.
like a sign graph almost.
It almost feels like there's this slight moment around, say, 2 items where the Karma is able to, with the shielding and the movement speed, take over the game over KSV in very narrow scenarios before Caitlyn hits all of her items, for example. And then, as the late game starts, there's true tanks on the side of KSV and very situational tankiness on the side of ROX. They're very, very squishy with Thresh support and a top lane gangplank. So it's almost late game where Jinx has 6 items plus a Zeke's Convergence and Theans and everything, where they're being able to win because there's no ability to actually kill the Jinx. So this game will be a bit like a sign graph. It feels like we will have to constantly update. The exciting thing about that, where it's not just read the timer, this is who wins because we got that late in the game, is that we always have to update on execution from both teams, on setups. Those are all going to be really, really important.
Yeah. Keegan to press all of his buttons here, getting his eye in.
This is waiting for something here. 900 gold, so boots of mobility is what you're thinking of.
Yep. And so thankfully he's testing out all of his buttons, and I think that they're working, which is good news. Linderung finally manages to get a barrel off onto Cuvée here. But he is really struggling, of course, but Demancy will help keep him up in this lane, and he has his Sheen in order to help him clear out these minions and affect his harassment abilities.
But you do lose in CS now that you don't have Bandit, and also you lose in gold, I should say, when you don't have Bandit, and you have to go into Corrupting Potion, 500 gold, just to get through the laning phase, and doesn't quite provide the same gold generation, so not quite as mindless when it comes to massive gold leads on the Gangplank as it was in previous patches.
And Key is just abandoned at the bottom side of the map. I don't think that KSV have any idea that he's up here as well, because top side has not been where the vision has been focused.
They would love to ward the forward brush next to where the Jinx is, and then get the confirmation that, wait, he's not even in the lane. Which is the reality we know.
Well, he at least gets an Inspire for some, at least movement speed on his way through the mid lane.
Only Linderung and Sangyun have been staying in their lanes. This is definitely the sort of game where if you enter with the preconceived notions of how League of Legends is played, you're like, but this is my lane. What?
I'm starting to believe that Tigers are actually migratory, to be honest. It's just been so much abandonment.
I'll have to consult with David Attenborough for that one.
Yes, please do. In fact, if you could just consult with him anyway. That sounds like the best time ever. And we use our voices for a living, Papa, so talking to the probably best voice in the world is probably a good idea.
I'd love to be budget David Attenborough. As do notice that Caitlyn is not in a CS lead, despite the foray around the map.
And the exit
has gone on.
Yeah.
He's been able to stay competitive in CS due to incomplete information available for the side of KSV.
And QSS needed to be picked up, and now it's Ruler that's feeling the burn of that item. Of course, Sangyun will grab one eventually because the Nether Grasp is such a problem, but Crown hasn't been able to roam because he's had his wave shoved into him over and over again. And then Lava's just exited and made sure that they had vision. Not so much on the bottom side, but now Ruler not going to get slowed up.
They see the QSS and they're like, really? Tank Caitlyn again?
Oh, not again.
Well, that thwarted the setup that ROX Tigers have gone into multiple levels to do. Will they have the damage? This is
what you were talking about. Exactly right. The Inspire was there, and they almost got half of his health bar.
Hey, he rushed to Theans and another bit of magic resist bot lane.
Yeah, another Negatron did come in. Sorry. Stand Behind Me is going to come in for Core JJ, but they're committing. They got the Cannon Barrage down here. Ruler still holding onto that QSS. They couldn't get it. ROX Tigers non-committal, but still find nothing and expend some cooldowns.
And that's what we're saying. If you go for the Athene's build, it doesn't matter that Malzahar and Zac can come out of nowhere with an engage. There isn't going to be the damage to kill. There's so many damage nerfs on Malzahar, and he has a Lost Chapter only.
Well, okay, not going to be able to do it in time. Good timing on the QSS there from Ruler.
Let's call that one a CJ special.
Yeah, that was an odd maneuver as Key does find the flay, and Haru not going to be able to kidnap the Jinx.
You guys don't get the reference. The Griffin special is from the challenger team that is almost undefeated that went on to win.
Yep.
The CJ special is to go undefeated and lose.
Yeah. Undefeated and lose is the problem. I was really excited to cast them as well, so I was very bothered.
Well, it seems like you'll get to cast Griffin in a couple of weeks when the promotion tournament comes out.
Do you not believe in Kongdu Monster?
I don't believe in Kongdu Monster, no.
Especially not in summer. Haru's going to make his way through yet again, but Songyun and Key playing real nice. Get themselves out of the way. Flame Chomper's even there to be extra safe. Oh, there's attempts on this bottom side over and over again from both teams, but at this time, no one is going to be taken down.
And you just know there's rising tension. Just as something as simple as Ruler or Core JJ pressing tab and looking at the CS numbers, they're like, wait, this is going way better than it should be for the Jinx, who was the risky pick in this draft. We predicted it early. They went for the Karma.
Only going to continue getting better as well. Static Shiv is now just being picked up. He's going to move his way down. These minions are not going to take down the turret. They're going to need a little bit more damage in order to get that one done.
And this may be the first ever professional game where a Caitlyn had these 3 items completed.
Yeah. It's an odd array.
Yeah. This is like definitely went to the thrift shop and tried to get as much stats as possible. We know where it's going, but right now it's bad reading.
Yeah, and this is after, you know, Thrift Shop had been out for a little while. You know, Macklemore is starting to seem a little bit lame to all the cool kids.
They want to buy fancy dress just after Halloween.
Yeah.
They're like, sorry, we just sold everything.
Yeah,
like,
sorry. You've only got this really terrible afro. Something like that.
Hey, afro's #1, if you know.
No, I know. I know.
We don't talk any mess about afro on the LCK stream.
All of the good afros were bought immediately. Don't you worry.
Well, into the game, Songyun having a happy time working towards 2 items. Mentioned it last time we had Jinx, which was very, very recently, I believe yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's all about where you go with the build, because we straight up see SMLZ go triple Zeal item just to play around the get excited attack speed that you're able to pull off. Can just go more conventional and armor penetration. Certainly you want Cut Down and a Giant Slayer this game to kill the Zac and also Cuvée. But always a bit more interesting to see where the Jinx players go with their builds.
Feels like Double Zeal Infinity Edge is mostly the way here in the LCK so far, as Crown takes so much damage from Lava. Songwon's going to flash forward, but look at this. He needed to do a Super Mega Death Rocket, comes in and just destroys him. There's the Lantern as Key turns up at the right time, and this is why you ban Thresh against Key, because damn, he's good at the champion.
And they're being so smart playing on the front foot. It feels like Game 1 all over again. The red side's getting this huge buff and macro on patch number 8.5. Apparently, they're on for the Mountain Drake. Double Mountain was what KSV had in the previous game. We'll see if they look for steal.
Oh, the steal comes in from Ruler. He grabs it with the Peacemaker, and they even out the Drakes. That's real good, and you can see that icon took a little while to come up because they had it queued on ROX, but nope, it goes over to KSV.
And it's so necessary because 2 Mountain Drakes, Jinx goes topside, and the Baron's dead, so they needed that one to slow down a Baron start. Top lane's been on an island, and nothing much to speak of there.
It's not a great island for Linderung, though.
No, it's kind of a crappy island.
Yeah, where's the rum gone, says the pirate.
He's definitely looking for a refund on his tickets to this island.
It's that island that, you know, you got beached on and then couldn't find your turtle to get you back home again.
He's logging into TripAdvisor as we speak.
The reviews are terrible. Okay, ROX going to continue being able to shove this one forward, though. Songyun going to have the best time with his Static Shiv actually complete. Ruler, yes, you managed to get a steal, but it didn't feel very good. 9 minions in the lead for Songyun.
But when you talk about a Caitlyn Malzahar comp, Caitlyn Braum duo against Jinx, and the good news story is we stole away a Mountain Drake, bad things have happened. This has been a much better early game than expected for ROX. And seeing how KSV can play the mid game when we crest into it. Remember, they have the true tank line, so they're a bit more forgiving in their ability to initiate and position. They're not going to have the first brick, though.
Yeah, this is going to be 2v2. Songyun's even able to try and deny some CS, takes himself a Lantern. He's going to be absolutely safe, giving Jinx the ability to reposition, especially when it's in the hands of Key, whose Thresh positioning has been very, very good. Is a really scary thing when you're moving towards the later stages of the game. Key has been one of the Tahm Kench players that we've been looking at to be quite successful as well. So really nice to see that Songyun is going to be a force to be reckoned with as we move even towards the mid-game. This power spike right now is not one that you're going to scoff at, as the Infinity Edge is already done from Sungyun.
Compared to, as we mentioned, the thrift shopping coming through from Caitlyn will probably finish, I guess, the Static Shiv on this buy.
Maybe he just gets Ninja Tabi and completely sacrifices everything.
The pure tank Caitlyn.
He's waiting for something. Just not sure what that'll be.
Actually, he didn't buy anything. Okay.
Okay. He wanted to keep that one potion that was very important.
I guess he really wants a second item, first item, I should say, Infinity Edge, to go for some situational crib. He actually didn't buy anything, which is surprising.
Yeah, it's an odd one.
There's no Drake spawning, so he doesn't really need items, especially because the Jinx is going to be grouping in mid lane, but that was very peculiar.
Trinity Force now done for Linderung, which is why we can see him actually wanting to duel with Cube a little bit. 18 minutes into the game, Rift Herald should be going over to ROX Tigers pretty effectively, especially because the walkabout that Lava has taken
Sungyun is literally God. He has Athene's and Ardent Sensor and 2 items on the Jinx compared to nothing on the Caitlyn.
And he can also run around and get excited under a cannon barrage.
But it's a fancy dress show where he's got the fanciest dress and Caitlyn forgot her dress, apparently.
We're talking about fancy dress a lot this broadcast.
That's what we're all about.
Well,
things are really looking good for ROX. But as we mentioned, while we like late game, there's tank line, and not having a tank line can mean face checks, can mean cheeky barons, can mean so many things on the side of KSV that we don't want to necessarily ship over the game to them. It's been impressive how ROX have been able to play the early game.
But
question
they're
is,
looking
what's
at
next,
Sungyun with like 2.5 items now. Another Zeal is done. He's got the yellow pickups that he wants. And is this going to mean that a 20-minute Baron is going to be an option? Because you mentioned the fact that, all the spikes are there with the Jinx damage. You may as well use that with your Mountain Drake. Take down a Baron pretty quick because they've got all of the control that they could ever need and the ability to lantern people into the pit.
I wonder if they could deal with it. Because he didn't get any armor, my first thought is no from Songwan, but he had gone for an armor item. There's a potential they could have duoed Baron at 20 minutes. It's a very scary thought.
Maybe Lava and Sungyun could duo it.
I think they probably could now that you mention it.
That wouldn't be too hard.
Another scary thought.
Power?
And then Songwan could just power over and smite it when it was low.
And you'd never be worried that Lava isn't in the lane because he hasn't been in the lane the whole game.
It was the long con!
Oh my god, it's just the ideas upon ideas. And Shelly is even going to be released onto the map as well, as ROX are going to take down the outer turret in the mid lane. It's their port of call. KSV, last opportunity to try and get something done, is now we've got Elastic Slingshot charged on the top side of the screen.
They can't see
Zac coming in.
Like you say, a lot of engage, so it's actually very tricky to get any autos, even in rocket form for Sungyun. Don't quite get the turret.
Intelligently, though, ROX do recognize this. Get themselves out of the way. It's relevant damage on the outer turret in the mid lane. Because now they're trying to find a way to get a fight that they can fight on their terms. The call of the Forge God and the Zac engage is going to work as Sungyun's going to flash forward. Haru! Is he going to be able to get the work done? No, he's not, because that's just going to eat up the Impale. It's on cooldown now, and Haru uses the Kidnap really nicely.
Yeah, fool me once, fool me twice. Haru has the actual ability to get out without a QSS, so nicely done. That means the cooldown have to come back, and pressure is relieved, and the pressure has been so high from ROX Tigers in this game that you definitely take that to get Baron control from it as well. Take a deep breath, adjust, enjoy your popcorn. This best of one, which largely does herald playoffs for both teams, but definitely does for KSV if they're able to win, does continue.
But this is the best of 3 that we really wanted out of both of these teams. First game, ROX, really intelligent play, able to get that victory cleanly. And then in game number 2, KSV proved they could do exactly the same thing. Now, everything on a knife edge. I know, 3,000 gold. The KSV do have some inherent advantages if they can find the fights that they're looking for.
Well, it's not really a fight that Songwan's looking for, but one that he's fallen into. The very, very slow solo of the Mountain Drake.
Yep.
No one wants to give up any Baron control, so no one's coming to help.
He's going to be taking down the dragons on his own.
The
Skarner doing the Shyvana impression.
You know, doesn't look much like a Shyvana to me. Does take the Drake. Oh no, an Ocean. That's sad.
Well, that's going to be the next one.
It means everyone can play top side, and then one of the 80 carries will probably solo it down. But we think about where the vision line is at to understand where the control is. The 2 wards over the pit are still there after the control wards on ROX Tigers have been removed, and KSV replaced vision, so the advanced vision will start to time out, and that means that there's a bit of vision parity that was looking very difficult for KSV to set up just 5 minutes ago. Game stabilizing. Not getting the next big item yet from Sanghyun. He went for a QSS of his own.
Okay. Does get discovered by Ruler, but not enough damage there just yet. No Infinity Edge completed. You got a QSS now done on Sanghyun, so maybe ROX feeling a little bit better about a fight. Their Jinx can get around unhindered by a potential Flash Nether Grasp into the back line, because we haven't been fighting a lot. It's only Songwon that has lost his Flash. Feels like ROX Tigers only really want to try and start a fight when they can do it on their terms, getting an impale onto the target that they want. Now it's all about Key, whether he can get the Flash and deliver a Skana towards himself with the Lantern.
And QS has no luxury in this game, as probably going to see another Elastic Slingshot to interrupt this take.
Well, Haru, no, he's going to cancel it. Okay. They're just going to give up the tower.
Don't have enough control in the area, but consider that the Elastic Slingshot will almost certainly get the first Flash, and then the next fight, you got 5 minutes till your next Flash is up. So
yeah,
a QSS to have any hope of being able to get away in the follow-up ganks is very, very necessary for Sanghyun. Does delay his second Zeal item, though.
Feels like in the meantime, Linderung is just farming and farming and farming. Having a decent time getting towards the rest of his items. Ghostblade now done as well as the Siege is on. Good hook gets the QSS out from Ruler, and that is so important because now ROX, the onus is on them to be able to actually start up the fights that they want because Caitlyn can be impaled.
Yeah, they got a Flash as well, and it was all over for Ruler in terms of threat, but now at least Linderung can push up. Only 12 CS behind, so being able to wrestle back some control. Only 2 items as well. We're used to seeing 6 items on a gangplank by now.
Yeah.
With Bandit, and the support itemization is gone. Sanghyun still ahead of Zeal and Boots too.
Another hook.
Zac, but that was just mostly for information from ROX.
Well, information is, there was a Zac in the brush. They noted that one down and then agreed to leave. Just feels like game 2 all over again with the nameplate switched. 2-0, not a very bloody game at all. Just an understanding that ROX is moving forward calmly and casually. We've got Ravenous Deathcap almost done for Lava. He's only going to get stronger and stronger. Sanghyun, the same situation. This is where KSV are supposed to find their power. 25 minutes in, their engage options are good, but they haven't been able to get on top of the targets that they want, and only now does Ruler have the Infinity Edge to follow up with some relevant damage. Still, would prefer to have 3 items as a Caitlyn.
And just to explain, because you look at the comps, you say, okay, but ROX have Jinx. They just win late game. And they also have mid-game options with the Karma. It's a lot about Orin and Zac can face-check things, and really no one from ROX can. Skarner has the best ability, but he's very, very squishy to physical damage, especially with just an Adaptive Helm and the nerfed Cinderhole on this patch. And the threat onto the backline is immense from the side of KSV and limited from the side of ROX. So reliably around now is where KSV do have a lot of options, and Caitlyn is hitting her item timing as well. 2 items onto the Jinx. Can they get anything out of her?
Not by the looks of things, as they do get the knock-up. Isn't able to take the Lantern because another control ward is really nicely placed. And now Crown turns up to the fight. Linderung right in the back line. This could be dangerous, but no, it's not. Core JJ just going to bite the dust, and KSV have to get out. The flash forward from Key doesn't get the hook onto Crown. As Sanghyun gets the impale, though. The Flame Chomper's doing work in the back line. Haru is going to be split up into pieces, and Lava just keeping the rest at bay. Cuvée and Ruler, what can they do against this? Absolutely nothing. They can get hooked, though, and Cuvé's just going to die. Bellow's Breath, not going to help you there. Now the flash forward from Sanghyun. You know that he wants to get this one. Lava finds it as well, but he doesn't quite understand the range of Karma. Not that great. They'll just move back to the Baron, and that's exactly what ROX wanted.
They had the engage. They knew they could face check, but they missed the engage. Sanghyun is high health after it. They turn around, you see a Monster Inspire, and you see all the health bars from KSV disappear. They turn onto the Baron. They're going to get this one, and ROX Tigers break open the game.
Yeah, that Baron just evaporated. Purple Swirlies now on top of ROX to try and break down the rest of the structures. Feels like a death nail here for KSV.
The Flay stops the Elastic Slingshot. The ult does hit, but from there, they only get the QSS. Notice the Braum stun never hits, and then the re-engage can start. Linderung walks up. Core JJ first to go down, and then Mantra Inspire breathes doom into the hearts of KSV. Some abilities go wide. Don't know what he was thinking about the death sentence, but Skarner closed the distance. They've got a lot of speed up. And then Jinx stays excited. And And that should also be excitement to ROX Tigers and disappointment for KSV, because suddenly this game is fully in the hands of ROX.
Yeah, and it just feels so much like Game 2 yet again. This is the team fight that ROX Tigers lost in Game 2 and handedly won in Game number 1, because it was largely on KSV starting it up, getting themselves into the positions, using that engage that we were talking about. But Sungyun had so many damn shields. They came from everywhere, getting buffed up by the Athene's Unholy Grail as well as the Rabadon's on top, just meaning that that AP with the Inspire is so huge.
And she is now definitely and
was that an outright mortal reminder?
And that is what I wanted to point out, is it's 4 items and a QSS compared to, again, basically nothing on Ruler, who still doesn't have boots too.
Oh,
so
God.
This Jinx is incredibly strong. Unless she's tied up, there is still that ability. She has no flash for at least 2.5 minutes. The QSS and the shields will be online.
Yep, and the Lantern there as well if the reposition is necessary. Peel options are available also from the Skarner. Songwon wants to play defensively. They can just move up as a unit.
It's 10,000 gold lead for ROX Tigers, really, instantly.
Oh,
some great plays.
Ruler just feels useless right now on this Caitlyn. He can't do anything. It's the worst feeling, the ultimate trough coming in from the Caitlyn. Everyone knows the feeling because we've been talking about it since the inception of Caitlyn into League of Legends, which was a very, very long time ago. She just doesn't feel great when you got 2 items, and then it just feels worse if you start losing fight over fight.
Ruler invited it. He went QSS early after the BF sword. He tried to scale, but ROX couldn't get punished in the mid lane. They couldn't kill him with the Malzahar, and now we're looking at maybe the game-winning push.
Yep, Cannon Barrage comes in, but as the Inspire, it's not even getting through health bars at the moment with the call of the Forge God, Cuvée. They can't engage over the top of the Cannon Barrage, meaning that the tower just melts. They break the base on the top side of the map, and now Sangyun's playing frontline and then turns half of his health bar into a shield with the rest of his team.
So powerful, so early into the game. They have double mountain to do even more damage onto these turrets. And KSV can't kill anyone, certainly not Sangyun, even with flash down. The flash is up soon. Hopes are really slipping away when it comes to KSV. They need to win a match against ROX Tigers or Kingzone. And you don't expect Kingzone to be doing any favors for them later in the week.
We'll be able to check in with Kingzone, of course, in our next series coming up straight after this game. It's against Jin. You have a feeling that Kingzone should be able to win pretty handedly. And it could be a precursor to what KSV is going to feel at the hands of our already first-place lock-ins and grand final lock-ins here for Spring Split 2018 LCK.
You think to other tournaments, I'm not even talking about esports, but when it comes to tournaments where, you know, you're going to see a game from Kingzone, they've already finished first, they're already guaranteed top 2. You know, are they going to bother with playing against, you know, KSV? Are they going to actually show their best stars? Remember, they don't play again until the grand final. The penalty of the LCK is that you don't actually get to play a best of 5 on the tournament patch. You actually don't play against the grand final if you finish first. It's their last chance for stage practice in 3 weeks. They're definitely going to play their hearts out because they need to get as much stage practice as possible before the grand final. So there's not going to be anybody coming into the lineup. They have to play Kong because they don't have a sub-top laner anymore. So there's really no way to avoid playing full power Kingzone. And that is not a team that KSV on today's form will be even putting a dent into.
No, absolutely not. And ROX were able to take a game off Kingzone, but that was just one. And then Kingzone followed it up with a pretty dominant performance the next time around. Linderung, he's looking huge. He's got the Lord Dominic's Regard. We've got one of each of the Last Whisper items here for the ROX Tigers.
Boots are out of fashion, apparently, on the Rift these days.
Especially for AD carries. You're right. Brown bags feeling like the options. These ladies are staying with the fashion sense. Obviously, someone wore it as far like a movie star or something in Runeterra.
Who's a movie star, AD carry? I guess Deft.
Yeah.
Bang. Prey.
Imp.
I mean, Imp's back in Korea. It's possible.
Exactly. He's come back.
He's like, look at this shirt and these shoes.
He's the trendsetter, man. These are my brown bags. They were $7,000.
We're laughing, but I'm sure KSV aren't. Second base turret going to be broken.
Yeah, and should be the second inhibitor broken as well as Sangyun. He's going to head forward. The slowdown, the Unbreakables looking pretty breakable in the hands of Core JJ. Now Songwon gets himself out of there, key keeping everyone safe. Sangyun even able to go into the minigun In order to lock down these turrets. Okay, Call of the Forge God does come in. Good play to get Haru out of there. The desperation engage just whiffed entirely from KSV. Super Mega Death Rocket looks like a celebration is key. Flashes for another hook that goes pretty wide.
These zoning flash hooks from Key are very anticlimactic, but they do get the objective they were looking for. That was the second inhibitor. They can move back, and KSV are still in full base defense mode. Still going to be ROX Tigers in a very happy spot. They kept the Mercurial Scimitar, the flash, and the heal up on Sangyun. Those cooldowns aren't up yet for QV, so they can walk up to the third inhibitor turret as well.
Yep, Mantrid Inspire is coming in as there's Haru. Gets a flash out of it, at least, as the Cannon Barrage does come down. A little bit hyphy on the side of Lava because the play was really nice from Key.
Actually got some damage onto Sangyun and used the Mercurial Scimitar just for movement speed. Doesn't matter.
QV in trouble, but here's another one. Another really good play comes down as Songwon. Not going to quite find the re-engage or anything like that, but Linderung, he's playing frontline now as the Pirate, and Sangyun very low on mana, but it will be the last remaining inhibitor falling. And ROX Tigers getting a flash. They pull him all the way back in. See you later, Crown. Not a lot of options for clearing waves at this point as Haru just really likes elastic slingshots, I guess. Here's the Call of the Forge God. They get a good knock-up onto Sangyun, but there's no follow-up damage there at all. Ruler, he's doing nothing to speak of. Kyuvey, he's basically dead here at this point. It's a double kill coming down now as Sangyun gets it. The triple, the quadra, and that's it. Sangyun is going to finish it for the ROX Tigers. Nexus turret's now going to fall, and off the back of the hugest jinx ever, ROX Tigers deathless in this one, 11-0. They will keep those playoff dreams alive. KSV feeling really worried now.
You see the smiles. They know they are all but into the playoffs. They are not going to be crowned today for playoffs, but results have to go heavily against them, and they only have Jin Air to face in the regular season. So ROX Tigers stoked. KSV are definitely going to be on down in the dumps. Now they require SKT to lose to one of MVP or Kongdu Monster, or for them to beat Kingzone Dragon X. Both of those are tall tales. KSV, since their series last week, had their fate in their hands. All we need is one victory. They lost to SKT, they lost to ROX, and increasingly, it seems like the world champions don't deserve to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, and this was a question you posed to me actually off air. You were like, what does it mean if our world champions aren't in the playoffs for the next season of LCK? And I'm finding it really difficult to answer the question. It's just really rough reading.
You would
for
love
KSV
to,
fans.
You definitely want the TSM Legends or the behind-the-scenes stuff because they kept all the damn players. It's the entire squad that won the World Championships and that were very reliable, if not actual threats to the crown in 2017. They were always a good team in the LCK. For them to not even be top half, keeping the squad that won the World Championship is a mystery to us, but so often we've seen some pretty indifferent plays from them. And on this day, we saw a super-powered ROX Tigers. These guys haven't shown up on 8.4. 8.5 comes on. They only had Kongdu Monster to show. Now they have KSV to show. And ROX Tigers finally correct the ship after a bad 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was clean. It was really nice from the ROX Tigers in games number 1 and 3. And look at that damage from Sangyun. The Jinx looks so damn good. It was a different Karma build coming out, utilizing the Ardent Sensor, as well as the Athene's Unholy Grail. He was unkillable in the mid lane against the magic damage coming in. And look at that, 1,500 damage from Core JJ and only 2.2k from Haru.
And we should talk about what it means for ROX Tigers, because again, we've said it many times this season. On paper, they're bottom 2. On paper, it's the same players they lost.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. This is the same roster as well.
We thought, oh, okay, ROX Tigers again, bottom 2 with Kongdu Monster. And they've managed to basically guarantee top 5. They're going to be 6th at worst, which is just so much development from Linderung, from Songwon. We knew Sangyun was good. This is not the surprising thing. But Lava also going from, I can play Karma mid-shields only, to I'm flexing onto Karma after being a real carry for a lot of the season is such a difference. So ROX Tigers, you guys definitely had the scouting down pat. You did some great stuff. And 100% kill participation, a very easy MVP for Sangyun.
Yeah, Sangyun just gigantic on the Jinx. But it was these sort of plays, it was the fact that the ROX Tigers were able to put him in this position and then carry him forward.
I also want you guys to watch these replays and remember that I actually voted for Key in this game because his thresh was outstanding, but one of the players went 9-0-2, so they win. That's just how life goes.
Because look at that, the special delivery. I'll just take you out of there. It's fine.
Elastic slingshot never went anywhere because it got played every single time.
He was playing gag tennis the whole game.
Well, he should go home and play some Pong. He's definitely got his eye in when it comes to paddling some blobs. Too easy for ROX Tigers. The Caitlyn going into the power trough and nothing happening elsewhere on the map was turned against him. Really great stuff from ROX Tigers. They may have made some silly flashes, but they more often than not made it work. And when it came to protecting Songyun, he was looking safe as houses. Invest in Songyun coin. Seems a lot safer than Bitcoin right now.
Yeah. And I feel like it wasn't even necessarily the Songyun performance that was the amazing part, because it was this whole unit of the ROX Tigers throughout this whole series that has been so impressive.
I love the Griffin special. We need more Griffin specials in competitive League of Legends. Pressured into the Lantern. Every time Haru jumped in, he lost all his health bar because it was Jinx. That's how life goes.
No options there either for Cube to get anything done. Trying to be a factor in this game, but honestly, he was just the guy that let the Gangplank farm the quadra kill at the end of the game, sealing the deal for the ROX Tigers. Oh man, crazy game out of Songyun, but we are now going to have the MVP interview. We'll see how confident the ROX Tigers are about making it to the playoffs, and we'll listen to it from Joel with the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translation for today. We're here with ROX Tigers, kind of remembering the success, what they had with a different team in 2016. We're seeing the 2018 roster being just as successful. We're going to have an interview with the MVPs to see how they felt about the game. Of course, to get to the playoffs, you guys really needed this victory. How'd you feel about the win? I mean, we had to get the win to even have a chance then. And since, you know, we did get the win and we got this very much a good opportunity, we feel very good for going forward. Songyun, how do you feel? Do you feel happy about your situation? I'm the happiest man in the world right now, and no one can count me otherwise, and I think it's just wonderful right now how I feel. We also have the coach here to talk to him a little bit as well. Introduce yourself a little bit. I'm Coach Kang from ROX Tigers. And of course, it's not finalized quite yet, but how do you feel about the kind of the success that you guys had as a team so far? I mean, there are still games that we would like to change if we can go back to the past, but just right now, the whole team morale is so positive, and something that we can really carry on this flow further into much more success in the later. And a lot of people did say, you know, ROX Tigers wasn't the most kind of satisfactory team when it came to a lot of the expectation that did come from the fans. And it just seems like kind of the very much the unique picks and the unique composition of what ROX Tigers is bringing is kind of getting a reevaluation of this team. Yeah, I mean, just talking about, you know, Jinx, it just really kind of defines with, you know, kind of passive of Jinx. You know, when you get excited, and when these players get excited, they do just really well. They put out the damage there when they need to. And just for this season, and I think the focus was definitely there from the very beginning of the season, and they put a lot of effort in, and that really paid off in the end for the season. And the opponents wasn't an easy opponent with going up against KSV. You guys had to go up against them for a second time after going up against them in the round 1 robin. I knew it was a very important game for us. We had a lot of nerves going for us. And it just seems like Talia is not the most picked mid laner in this current patch right now. I knew Crown wanted to go with the Vel'Koz a lot, so we tried to just cut him off all these things, and I felt like anything else that Crown could have brought, I knew I could have beat him in lane, so that confidence led me in to get that pick. And it was a very close battle in the mid lane, back and forth. And ROX Tiger, I felt like the macro play and the key Baron calls was kind of the key factor in going into the plays, but and we want to see who made the kind of the key Baron plays here and there. In game 1, he saw our jungler Songwan saw Skarner in bot lane, so I'm sure he wanted to say that, you know, let's go over to the Baron and all that. I think he really wanted to say in this interview that he made the best Baron call in the world, but here I am, telling it for him. So still his definitely credentials are uplifted here. It seems like these little bit of differences when it comes to the timings of getting these Baron makes all the difference in the world. I'm sure someone does deserve the credit for this. The game one, it was really important to how Talia, you never really used the ultimate to waste, and every ultimate did count for a lot of the positive effects for your team. I mean, I've had wastes of ults before, and a lot of people yelled at me for it. I'm trying to kind of pinpoint out each individual that did yell at me, but our coach did a good job of pointing out the good points of giving good advices. Yeah, it's true that Songhwan and Lava got the most trouble from me, and I think they kind of took that in positively and made it to a good effect. I mean, does Sangyun get very angry when you heard the situation? I feel like, with anger, when in the game doesn't go our way, when it's something that we could play a lot better, but we play worse than what we're expected to do. Other than those situations, I don't see myself getting angry, and I try to be lenient. And you really can't change the past when we do lose a game. So I think the coach does a hard time of controlling his anger when we lose the games, and he really works to kind of get the team back on track. That's what he's so good at. Game 3 would have been very tough for you guys after losing Game 2. And it seems like you guys were really going back and forth, especially with the picks. I mean, before we got to the 4th and 5th pick and 4th and 5th ban, the coach told me to already play the Jinx, and that's already been decided. But Key doesn't like to play play with the Jinx, and we were trying to decide between Tristana and Jinx, and he just said that trying to just go forward and put all the damage with the Jinx. I'm sure the coach, you had a specific reason for recommending the Jinx. And I feel like Game 3 was all about confidence, and you can bring out all these confidence with certain picks, and Jinx is one of those things where he tries to get with the Tristana, and if you're gonna just jump in forward, as Sangyun has mostly shown us, you can just bring that same amount of confidence with the Jinx, and we felt like that confidence was very much needed with a champion like that. And it's gonna be more safer, kind of ironically, if you do play it in a kind of a suitable Sangyun style. I'm sure if you picked the Tristana, would you jump backwards? Yeah, I think I would have jumped forward and probably died many times if I picked the Tristana. And it seems like Karma's kind of sneakily being one of the better picks right now in mid lane. And it's really good when you have a strong ADC to cooperate with it. Lava was very good in the first round robin, but I think I'm kind of disappointed that in the second round robin he's just trying to be carried by his teammates instead of doing the carrying all himself. Of course, you did put a very reliant item to allow Sangyun to carry, but with the MVPs going to these two players here, but right now Key, we felt like he was definitely one of the potential candidates of getting the MVP for at least one of these two games. Wasn't he kind of disappointed that he didn't get any MVPs today? I mean, I got the MVP, but what Key said afterwards that his stomach was hurting for some reason, and but Key's always good at not expressing directly of his disappointments. But whenever within our team, when we kind of lacking in MVP points compared to our other teammates, we kind of have this little mental game going on back and forth. So we try to maintain the highest amount of points that we can.
자신감이 MVP 포인트에 따라서 약간 발언권이 있는 것 같기도 그런 기분이 드는데 3세트의 또 활약 장면.
And we can actually see one of those highlights from Game 3 of how Jinx Absolutely did tremendously well here. And what was the kind of the communication here? And this was it. I mean, we were kind of in celebratory mode already. We knew the game was already over. We were just screaming back and forth like that, and I just don't remember anything in particular because all we remember is just we were so excited to actually get the win here. It just seemed like the entire team was looking at Sang-Yun to make sure he does everything. Yeah, I knew that, you know, the reason I picked Karma in the first place is to trust Sang-Yun all the way. And of course, playoff is not solidified quite yet. You do have the Jin game left available. Anything you'd like to say, Coach? I know Jin is waiting in the kind of the waiting room right after this, so I feel like, you know, I hope you guys have a wonderful game today that leads to us playing with you guys and having a great game as well. I mean, you never know what will happen with this game, but we're gonna see how they do. Players, would you like to say anything? You know, we'll try to beat Jin Air and try to show you guys a wonderful performance in postseason. Sang-Yun, anything you'd like to say to the fans as well? We're not confirmed yet, so we're trying to stay focused because we do have one more game that we have to win. And all these fans gives us a lot of food to eat and all these snacks that we can enjoy. And I think the ROX Tigers fans are maybe one of the world's best, and this is their way of thanking them. Coach, anything you'd like to say to the fans as well? And it's really important that, you know, our fans are always here to support us live, and just like we played today, I feel like we're not gonna be a team that just has the empty cheers without any results. We're gonna try to produce all the right results that we can. That seems to be ended an interview with ROX Tigers, who are one step closer into getting their playoff hopes. I hope they can do that with the game remaining. I'm going to send it back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel, for the translation. And yes, now, theoretically, as we have a look at the results, it is 9-8 for both KSV and ROX, but things get so much more difficult for KSV.
I just love last week of regular season when there's things still up in the air because we get series like this. It was super hype, even though some of the games were very low in kills. As you say, both of them are 9-8, but KSV have to play against Kingzone, and they need 10 match wins to be able to escape unscathed. Now, there is a chance that ROX Tigers lose to Jin Air, and that means they would be able to move ahead of them in game score situationally, depending on how results go. But KSV controlled their own fate. They had to beat one of SKT, ROX, or Kingzone. They lost the first two. Now they need ROX Tigers to be upset by Jin Air, and SKT is looking like if they win both their matches, they'll be in. So things get much more remote for our world champions. Guys, in about 20 minutes time, starting a little bit late, but not too late, of Kingzone Dragon X, our newly crowned top 2 finisher, our regular season champions against Jin Air Green Wings. Will it be Kingzone playing with their food, or will it be a 39-minute thinker where there's no first blood? You guys get to find out.
Yeah, but it's a very difficult one because Jin Air were first in line as the fans of KSV, because now their chances are moot for getting into the playoffs. So a little bit unfortunate for Jin Air fans, but in 20 minutes time, we might see a fun one because now they can just spoil everything for other teams. But guys, that's going to be it from us. We'll see you after the relatively long break.